Hi, I hope you guys are keeping well. So we are continuing with what we left yesterday for the chapter "He Who Says No," which is on page number 101. And as you remember that we did some part of the exercises, which was A part, the fill in the blank on page number 109. So we'll continue with 100, page number 110, B part. We are discussing the question answers and exercises. In the play, the artists use a lot of symbolism and suggestions to express their thoughts and actions. Look at these examples and try to guess what they mean. Basically, symbolism means when the author is trying to indicate the importance of the situation or the sentence, and these are used by one word or by a couple of words or by a sentence, which indicates what the author is trying to portray or say. In the beginning of scene 2, the boy enters the room with a jug. If you go back to page number, scene 2 is on page number 105. The boy, right after this, after the chorus, it says that the boy is entering and he's carrying um, a jug. We climb very quickly. There's a first hut. Let's rest here for a while. This is on in continuation on page number, excuse me, page number 106, where the boy can be seen carrying a jug. So look at these examples and try to guess what they mean. What do you think? Why do you think this boy is carrying a jug? Whereas if you see that the other three boys and the teacher, they are not carrying any jug. My understanding says perhaps he's carrying a jug so that he can carry the medicine for his mother while he's from the mountains when he meets these expert doctors, and when he comes back he can have something to carry the medicines. When the three students from room 2 call the boy in room 1, they form a megaphone with their hands. When the three students are wondering, as in, what is wrong, what is wrong with the boy, because the teacher is seems to be worried and his face has started changing. It indicated that something is wrong and that he's sick, he's unwell. And as per the custom, you have to be physically fit when you're climbing or when you're going for such a dangerous long journey. So and they start forming a megaphone. They start talking to each other, with their hands around. Basically they are discussing as in what should be done, and they're also trying to remember the Japanese custom that if anyone is sick, they should be thrown up down in hurled in the valley, so that the sick person doesn't become an obstacle or hindrance to the other people who are traveling, as the road is very dangerous and narrow. So this is the indication, and you just have to write it in a couple of lines. The boy says, "See, I am still standing. Wouldn't I sit down if I was sick?" There is a pause, and the boy sits down. So this indicates that he is trying to convince the three boys that there's nothing wrong with him. He's absolutely fine. It is just that he feels tired because of extensive physical exertion, something that he's not used to. And in fact, the teacher is also trying to reiterate that if he takes a rest in the small hut, if you remember, he's going to be fine, in the morning. So in that process, he's trying to convince these three students that he's absolutely fine, although his face did say indicate that he's not fine. His face is changing, and suddenly he stands up and he tries to say that if he was sick, he would not be standing. And then maybe because he could no longer hold his patients to stand up because of his sickness, he sat down. So you have to write that in a couple of lines. Answer these questions in brief, that means in short. I'll give you a word limit. Why does the teacher visit the boy and his mother before he undertakes the journey? Somehow at the back of my mind, I feel as if the teacher really wanted to check on the student, on his student, because he had not come to school for many days, and he wanted to see if everything is well. And since he was going on a long journey, maybe he thought that he should meet him, because he does not know when he's going to come back. The other possibility can be that he wanted to take the student along with him for this long journey. What does this tell you about the teacher? So you have to write a character sketch of the teacher. Um, right now, don't write a character sketch, but just tell me about what do you think about the teacher. What is it that really attracts you about the teacher? What kind of a teacher do you think? How many teachers actually visit your home to check on you? So something like that. So in totality, question number 1 and 2, you can write it in, let's say, 60 words. These are short answer type questions. And character sketch is comes in your grammar part in the format. So I will describe it before you'll be in a position to write. The student says, the answer I gave was false. If you remember, he was asked, as per the Japanese custom, there are two questions in case in the middle of in the middle of the journey, if someone is sick, the Japanese custom says that that person is asked two questions. One says that, do you want to step back? That means, do you want to cancel your journey and go back? What do you want to do? But then, along with the first question, the second question also has to be agreed by the traveler or the sick person. That means he has to be hurled or thrown in the valley, and such is the effect of the throw in that steep valley, that the author says that death is instant. So the student says, the answer that I gave was false, but your question was even a bigger false. What was the question and what is the answer being referred to? Explained why both were false. Very interesting question. Go back to the last page, second last page, page 108 of the chapter. And here, in the in the third in the fourth paragraph, the dialogue of the boy says, the answer that I gave was false. He was asked repeatedly whether he's sick, whether he's feeling sick, and whether he wants to step back. And he kept on saying that no, he's fine, he's fine. Although he was not fine, he was feeling unwell. He looked sick and very tired and exhausted. But he decided to move on, because he knew that if he says yes, I'm sick, the second he has to agree to the second question. And what is the answer being referred to here? And then he says that what was the question and what is the answer? Now, the answer here that the boy gives, is because he says that he who says A does not have to say B. But the custom said that if you agree to A, you have to agree to B also. He also realizes that A was false and he can also realize that A was false. I wanted to get medicine for my mother, but now that I'm sick myself, it's not longer possible. He really wanted to go because he wanted to cure his mother's sickness. But because, keeping in mind the present circumstances where he is sick, he decided to step back, but he did not want to agree to the second question. That means to be thrown in the valley. He wanted to get back to his mother as soon as possible. So that is why he's trying to justify that your question was bigger false. And what is the answer being referred to? Excuse me. What is the answer being referred to here? Explain why both were false. So you have to just refer to this, and he's trying to say that he's trying to justify, and he's trying to say that In this situation, your both questions are false, because a, yes, he did agree that he was wrong, because he said that he's fine, although he was not fine, which was false. But the second answer is it's more false. It's a bigger false, because he's trying to justify that it is not necessary that every person has to be thrown in the valley. And the logic says that they should all come back with this boy back, so that they can help him to bring back, because although the teacher's research for the medicine can stop, but more than that, it is very important for him to go back to his ailing mother. So this is what he says. So ask you to turn back and to take me home. He's requesting. Surely your research can wait. If there's something to learn over there, as I am sure there is, then it can only be that in a situation such as ours now, we should be able to turn around. He's trying to convince the teacher and saying that I'm sure there is so much to learn when you go to the big city, but this situation that we all of us have fallen into, where I'm requesting you to help me, I, as a sick boy who's so helpless, because unfortunately he wants to go to the town to bring medicine, but he cannot because he's sick, and he doesn't want to die also because his mother is sick and he wants to go back. So he's trying to convince and trying to say that maybe from this situation you will learn a lot, most importantly as human beings, about how to help each other in difficult situations. He's trying to point out that. So you have to write and explain all that in totality, in 80 words.